Welcome everyone to Character Fight Night Recharge!
Welcome everybody back to the CFN Arena for another great night of CFN Recharged, the show where your favorite fictional characters battle head-to-head in stipulation-style combat. My name is Josh, and joining me as always at the desk is Jim.
What's going on, everybody? It's always good to be here right by your side.
And not joining us is Carson because he's out sick, unfortunately.
Boo! Everybody boo Carson.
Boo, Carson. But standing in for him, joining us from all the way on the other side of the CFN Arena with CFN tournaments, Ty. Ty, welcome to the show.
Hey, that's me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here, guys. I got to sit at the Cool Kids Club this time instead of hanging out with all the randos over at tournaments.
He's at the kiddie table, though. He's at the kiddie table at the Cool Kids Club, though. So, yeah.
We built a shorter desk next to the desk.
He's over there with his chicken nuggies and his apple juice at the kids' table.
Hey, don't knock it, man. Don't knock it.
What toy did you get?
It's a little CFN toy, like a little CFN, like.
It's a little more.
I would hope for like a CFN transformer.
Yeah, that's what
like it's the logo and it like dun, 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 you know that very satisfying sound the Transformers do.
It transforms between me and Josh.
Oh, that's dope.
Ty, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Excited for tonight's matchup. We have a MOBA Meltdown match, which is Ty. You want to explain kind of what that is? It's just a 1v1 MOBA, basically.
Well, you want to say, I have a whole like 10-point what a MOBA is essentially. If you want me to explain what MOBAs are,
give us the shorthand version.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people listening to the show knows what a MOBA is, but like just
for those of you who know,
some good examples like League of Legends is a MOBA, Dota 2, Smite. Those are the big ones I can think of.
Yeah, and so I know in a MOBA, for those who don't really know, like what is a MOBA, it's basically just 3 lanes with an objective on either side, and you're trying to push.
Yeah, you're close.
Am I wrong? Like the complete that's kind of the general idea. That's
so the reason why
characters know what a MOBA is, so none of them knew.
Everybody kind of knows, and then you guys were completely off.
That's
why
we brought you
typically in a MOBA, you have a list of characters that have certain abilities, much like you guys talk a lot about Overwatch, right?
Right.
Well, very much like Overwatch with a more objective based and less shooter based, right? So you got to control your lanes. So yes, you were right. There's 3 lanes and a jungle in between, and you get picked a lane. Usually, like solos are on one side, which are your warriors. Your mages are in the middle, and your guardians and like archers and stuff are on one side together. Then for this match, though, we're doing 1v1, right?
Yes.
So it's 1 lane. So imagine that whole bigger thing, but just smaller. 1 lane. And what you're going to have is a tower, a fountain, and then the last guardian or whatever you have to defeat. So the goal is to control the lane and time your back and forths very well. You want to farm for experience. There'll be minions that continuously come from your base and feed the middle. And you want to make sure you level up from that. And every time you go back to your base, you buy some items. So it's like a real-time RPG. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. You have a character, you're role playing it, you got to farm those points and whatnot, but you're doing it in real time against somebody else.
The minions are actually retired Oompa Loompas. So
probably in some game.
Yeah, they were desperate for work, so we capitalized on that. But
After
yes,
that factory got set down for like sanitary reasons, people were swimming in the chocolate.
OSHA showed up. Like, what the hell's going on here? So I mean, so that's your basic breakdown of the match tonight. So it's going to be really interesting to see these two characters. You know, I personally have never seen a 1v1 MOBA, so this will be first for me.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. Jim, are you excited for it?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Ty, are you excited for it?
Oh, you know it. That's why I'm here.
He's the MOBA man.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he was like, nope, not excited at all.
Nope.
For the viewers, I played minor pro Smite. We lost every game, but I played.
He was part of the team.
It doesn't matter.
I was on the team.
Still minor
I was
pro,
the jungle.
So to get this fight started, Jim, I think we need to send it down to John, standing by for the weigh-in. So let's go ahead and do that.
Welcome, everyone, to the weigh-in for tonight's matchup. Stepping up to the scale, Orphea. Orphea weighs in at 75 pounds, standing 4 feet tall.
All right, yeah, Orphea. So we have the heir of the Raven Court, daughter of Oberon, the Raven Lord, and the Gravekeeper. And the Raven Lord did battle. Right? Did I get that right?
Yeah. So
I was trying to read through that.
Yeah. So the Raven Lord is her dad.
Yeah.
He controls kind of one of the realms. There's like different parts of the Nexus.
The Nexus, the Dark Nexus, right?
So he tapped into the Dark Nexus, which is like a forbidden. It's like where all the bad Nexus stuff is. And he made a promise to Orphea that he would not do that, and so he like completely betrayed her trust.
Yeah. So she took on her father basically, but instead of like actually being able to like go head to head, she knew that she couldn't. So she's way highly strategic. So she went for his source of power, which is the singularity. And upon damaging that, it actually banished her father, the Raven Lord, making her victorious. And she made the choice to rise up above her, negative.
She didn't want to be a normie.
Normie, yeah. And she became the hero of the Nexus to help defend her realm against evil.
Sounds very Mortal Kombat.
It does, yeah, right?
So Orphea
Mortal Kombat makes Greek mythology almost.
Orphea is really interesting because she can. She's like I said, she's 10 years old. So you wouldn't think like a 10-year-old having that much like. I mean, obviously 10-year-olds like stand up to their parents, but not in this realm of like physical combat with like dark magic.
Imagine like a 10-year-old kid just like defeating their parents. I feel like if you did that in the real world, you go to prison.
How old is Ash? I don't.
Yeah, is he like 10 or 12, something like that?
Yeah.
He's a hero.
Like
he's forever
Pokemon to do his fighting.
But it's not like he fought gods.
I was like, but it's not like he killed his mom to become like the hero of Pallet Town with his Pokemon. Like,
the hero of
all right, you're right, Jim. You're right.
Sorry, I should say Kanto. I'm thinking too small.
He took down
the There's like
Lord.
4 houses in that town. There's like his house, Gary's house, and the professor's house, and that's it.
He took down the Pallet Lord and decided to rise up as the Pokemon Master.
Man.
So it's interesting because I think she got those dark powers from her dad, and I think that when she began like kind of rising up against him, she started tapping into like her dark powers. And
it's for all you comic book nerds out there, it's very reminiscent of Raven from Teen Titans.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, like you said, I think we're not going to go into strengths or anything yet, but since you touched on it, she's very strategic, and I think that's going to be a big bonus for her tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she uses that to her advantage here.
She is a she's from the game Heroes of the Storm, obviously.
Probably should have started with that.
But she is a character from Heroes of the Storm.
Like specifically, she was actually she was one of the ones. She's not from any other Blizzard IP.
Correct.
Other than this, she was created along with another character that they like made custom specifically for this game, and she's been kind of from my research that I did, she's been pretty well received actually. By quite a by the fans and stuff, or by the players rather.
I think her difficulty is difficult or something. Like she's hard to master.
Intermediate, yeah,
Okay.
probably easy to play, hard to master because you have to be able to hit like specific spots, and you have very targeted.
I would put
attacks.
her when we get to it. Yeah, I have like all her MOBA styles.
Yeah.
So if you ever want, I'll get to go to that next.
Yeah, we're definitely going to touch on abilities and strengths and stuff in round 1 for Orphea.
She's got a very interesting background. So,
she
like
does.
I said, it reminded me a lot of Raven.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember what happened to her mom. I didn't look into that, but I know that she was like this pure-hearted person. She witnessed her dad, Oberon, the Raven Lord, murder like one of the. It's like the Queen of Thorns or something like that. And she was watching from the shadows, and she really like it twisted her like that day. And she decided to like get revenge on her dad and stop him.
Yeah.
So one of those like big bads, and then the family has to be the one to take him down or whatever. Like Star Wars. Not like Star Wars.
Everything's like Star Wars.
Yeah, everything.
Well, you know why, right?
Why?
Because that's like the perfect example of like the hero's journey.
Yeah.
For like most like storytelling and stuff like that. We actually watched A New Hope in my Greek mythology class in college because of the exact following of the hero's journey that you see in a lot of like classic Greek stories and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I would say Homer's Odyssey, but if you want to be all modern
I was
about
being
it.
a little bit more broad with my, but yes.
What was the name
I'm
of the
gonna
movie?
push up my glasses now.
I was just doing the same thing. Just like
perfect example of the hero's journey. You're talking about the Hidden Fortress that Star Wars ripped off of the Japanese movie that Star Wars stole the plot from.
That would have been a lot
made.
funnier if I didn't watch you just look that up before you tried to
I couldn't remember the name of it.
What was that?
You just tried to actually me.
I
And
know, but
watched you look it up.
I didn't actually. I was just like taking a stab at Star Wars a little bit.
What was that? Lion King ripped Kimba.
I mean,
Right? Did you
true,
see that?
yeah.
You guys seen Kimba?
Well, that was like kind of a retelling of
Hamlet.
Shakespeare. Yeah, Hamlet. The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, I
Did
think,
you know that? You didn't know that?
We all learned something today.
Yeah. I feel foolish. Let me pull us back from that tangent that we kind of went on and get us back to CFN here. And we're going to go send it back to John at the weigh-in station to find out some information on our next competitor.
Now, stepping up to the scale, Morgana. Morgana weighs in at 155 pounds, standing 5 feet, 5 inches tall.
Next, we have Morgana, also known as the Fallen, which sounds very ominous, but really her backstory is not anything like, if you see the character, her backstory is not anything like you would think it is. And that was really wild to me. So I found out that League of Legends has a very rich history, has a lot of lore into it, more than I thought for a MOBA.
Yeah, I'm looking at our Google Doc right now,
Yeah.
and I'm doing a lot more scrolling than I
Yeah.
have to do for some of our like lore part of the podcast.
So she was born to a man named Callum and a woman named Mahira. Mahira actually became the embodiment of the aspect of justice. So now what that means is basically like an angel possessing your body and taking over, like for all you Supernatural fans, like Castiel taking over the
Jimmy Novak.
Yep.
Don't ask me how I know that. How I knew that off the top of my head.
Deep
So.
cuts.
I
guys.
appreciate that. Did you do that though? And so basically the aspects of justice inhabited her body. and not forced her, but it engaged in wars that the aspect would engage in. Every time it battled, it would lose a little piece of Mahira. So she was kind of like getting deeper and deeper, pushed back into the body.
Again, for all your supernatural, that's exactly how it happens with the like supernatural. Because I think like eventually
just watched an episode of Supernatural and boom, we got a backstory.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, but it's like eventually, like because like Jimmy Novak, for example, like died, and his body was
Castiel
like took
continued
pretty
his body,
much like so it's
so
quite dark.
So because the mom was kind of losing herself to the aspect, Callum decided to run away with his two daughters, Kale and Morgana. And they settled in this land, and they became known as the Winged Protectors of Demacia. And so basically they would protect this land, working together. But ironically enough, Morgana's like this gothy type chick, like,
It's
dark
not just
hair,
a phase mom.
dark mage, and Kale looks more like your crusader paladin kind of thing. Armor, bright wings, very angelic. But
Mercy
Kale,
from
I was thinking more like the crusader from Diablo. Like,
oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
kind-
I was like in my head, I immediately pictured Mercy from Overwatch.
crusader from Diablo with
Is
wings.
it's like an evil angel, ain't it?
Mercy's got that one skin that like gives her like the armor and
Yeah,
stuff like
okay,
that.
all right.
That one special skin. That's what you're gonna do. That's the canon version.
It's like a Valkyrie skin that she has, like
Yeah.
in Overwatch. So
That's
what I was
the
thinking.
canon version.
Ironically though, Kale was the one that kind of became corrupted in her own way, because they each have kind of the aspect, the kind of remnants of the aspect in their, within them. And Kale is the one that kind of became consumed with justice. Like she was like, nobody is righteous. Everybody needs to be put down.
She's a lawful good paladin.
Sure.
Is like to a fault is what that like screams to me for the
Too
D&D
good?
nerds.
Like
yes,
too good?
exactly. Where it's like yo,
Yeah.
you're kind of yeah.
So there was a man named Ronus who was one of Kale's followers who realized that Kale was never gonna be able to like imprison or kill Morgana. So he took it upon himself to go and imprison Morgana. Now Morgana, the only thing she was left to kill him, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, because there was no other way to get, to dispose of him. He wasn't going to take no for an answer. And Kale responded by burning down the entire village. Like the entire city.
A normal response.
To rid it of sin. To rid it of sin, which sounds
biblical.
That's lawful
today.
Good. There.
And so, like I said, it's interesting because Morgana is more like this pure, like she is.
I feel like Morgana is based on the Morgan. Is that what she's based off of?
I don't know what that is.
Was
Yeah,
that?
what? I mean, that's part of her name.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, she's. All right, hang on. I gotta look up. I had this random thought while I was getting.
Welcome to the show, officially.
So Morgan Le Fay is from King Arthur legend, right? And she is based on that. She's which is like a proto-Celtic kind of god.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it kind of caught me off guard, because you see like the way she looks is like your generic like evil person, right? And she's not. In fact, she's a lot more forgiving than Kale was. She forgave them for those who were willing to like atone for their crimes.
She forgave them, and her sister Kale forsake them.
Pretty much, yeah. Which goes like, it's flipped from from your quintessential like
good is a light, and evil is the
versus
dark.
Yeah. So that was neat. They do have they both have 6 wings, which is given to them by the aspect when they touched
It's like the biblically accurate
sword.
angels.
Yeah, the mom when the mom
It's a giant eyeball with 6 wings in it.
so when the mom turned into the aspect of justice, it looks like a biblically accurate angel. She's like a big ball of fire with 6
it all
wings.
comes around. Yep.
But Kale embraces her wings and flies, where Morgana actually has them chained to herself because she tried to cut them off and couldn't find a blade that was strong enough to do it. So her wings are all mangled and kind of gross. But she has them bound to her side with chains, which is,
That's pretty gnarly.
yeah, really, really deep character. Like, I didn't expect to find this much
I
backstory
definitely was not expecting that.
on a
Jeez.
MOBA character. Yeah. So good on
It
you.
kind of
League of
makes me
Legends.
want to play. Like, both of these
Yeah.
backstories kind of make me want to play these characters.
Yeah, they
now,
are
but-
really cool characters.
Yeah.
I would love to see Morgana in like an arcane series or something.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I'll step off my soapbox now that we have covered that long-winded backstory for Morgana. And we're going to send it down to the ring, but not before we tell you about tonight's very real sponsor. So we will be right back.
Have you ever experienced the stigma of being forced to stay mid? What about the lackluster support while on the objective? Do you find yourself feeling frustrated that you enjoy the game so much, yet noticeably exude seething rage? Don't worry. We can help. We are MOBAnonymous, and our goal is to assure that you don't fall into the same rut and strategy that clearly isn't winning games. You'll learn that maybe the character you lock in really isn't for you, or maybe that running and gunning is why you never get any healing. Whichever the case, MOBAnonymous is designed to break your bad habits and, most likely, your bad posture, so you don't have to be the one that is carried anymore.
Welcome back from that commercial break. We are now ready to send it down to the arena where somehow John made it from the commercial break to the arena, and he's standing by to introduce.
He's the real hero here.
Yeah, faster than the speed of light.
That happens on tournaments too, like magic teleporting to like the next scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's wild.
Fast and the Furious.
something about the arena. So let's send it down to John to hear tonight's fight intros. John, take it away.
Introducing first, from the Nexus in the Heroes of the Storm universe, she is the heir to the Raven Court, the ranged assassin hero from the Nexus, Orphea! And their opponent, from the Mount Targon in the League of Legends universe. She is one half of the Winged Protectors, the mage who controls the mid, Morgana!
All right, so welcome to round one, where we discuss strengths and weaknesses of
Orphea.
Orphea.
I'll never forget when we all had a different pronunciation for the spell on the Harry Potter episode.
Orphea. Yeah.
Axio.
Yes.
Or it's, or is it like, how the PH is silent sometimes? Or is it Orya?
What?
What?
Please give me a word where a PH is silent in a word.
I don't know. I was trying to think.
No. Never mind.
Yeah. Little did people know there's also an H in pterodactyl, so it's the PH or silent.
I'm gonna run.
All right, guys.
That
All
back.
my jokes can't be funny, but at least give me a giggle or something.
So Orphea is. What did you say she was, Ty? She's a ranged
The jungler?
assassin.
A jungler.
Yeah, ranged jungler. So that means she has a high burst damage with so she can eliminate squishy targets. So she would go lane to lane, and if you got somebody weak in your lane, her job is to come over there
And
take them out and finish them off.
Up
Nice.
until a certain point, yeah, and then as she starts to get kind of stronger her on her own, as you level up a little bit more, then you can kind of start actually taking on and one shotting some of like the heroes and stuff too. Like I was in some of my research and videos and stuff I was watching,
Which means she has like good mobility. She's very fast because the characters like that need to move between lanes and whatnot.
yeah,
So one thing, obviously, she excels in damage dealing, like Ty was saying, burst damage.
Yeah,
She's also really good at dueling, which I think in this case is going to be really beneficial, right? Obviously,
one-on-one,
dueling,
yeah.
So
it's so crazy seeing some of her powers used in tandem as you start to kind of get. So, and obviously here, it's kind of classic CFN where the characters are like in their prime. So we're not really talking like necessarily level 1 Orphea. Like as soon as like right out the gate at the very start of the match, I like to imagine that she's going to have, kind of at her like kind of had her like both of these characters are going to be at their best and not, so much working their way up. But
yeah, I mean, and there is going to be some.
Although maybe we can't since this is a MOBA Meltdown.
I was going to say there is going to be some semblance of like having to level up and gain more powers and stuff like that. And I was kind of going
like
into
that idea a little bit more now that I'm talking about it.
Well, see, that's the problem with assassins, though, because the way she works, though, is that she needs to go and get kills. She doesn't farm a lane to get ability, level up. She kills the other person, so she's gonna have a hard time leveling up.
Well, that could come into play for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a big weakness. That what's funny is I didn't really find any weaknesses per se. They were mainly like game.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like weaknesses are. I got a couple like, for what counters. Yeah. Like you have counter characters that are like, like are picked or played that counter such a hero or stuff like that.
Ty, you said you had a couple weaknesses?
Yeah, she's as assassins, they have low durability and survivability. Like you got to burst and kill or you're dead is how that works in MOBAs a lot of the time.
So,
Jim's favorite
she's relying on speed. So what would happen is she does have a self-heal, right? I think we talked about that earlier, but that's for after she killed somebody. Like that's not going to help her in the fight. She has to kill them and then heal in the jungle on her way to another lane.
But I mean, don't forget that she has she does have powers like her shadow waltz and stuff like that, which is like a tendril that goes straight in a line, which here in this case is probably going to be perfect because it's a one-on-one.
It's not just a pick a target. Yeah.
But if it hits, it's a mobility as well too. So not only does it reduce the cooldown of the next of her next use of it, but it also does teleport her kind of in a way teleport
so she
her
can
away
burst kill. Yeah,
correct.
She can get in there.
Which means that she's all over the place. She's not just standing there like spamming these, spamming her. I think this is like her in the world of like the her like W ability or whatever. Like she's gonna hit her tendril because she only has the one target that she's going for. Mostly. And then she's going to be out of the way, which is also inherently going to reduce her cooldown. So Orphea is really good at using a lot of her powers in tandem with another. And this also every time she hits,
she's a burst damage.
It builds her meter that can help with increasing damage.
I want to back up real quick because I know Ty, you mentioned that she can only heal herself when she kills enemies.
Yep.
I'm going to disagree because there's an ability called Overflowing Chaos. That her basic attacks against heroes actually build up 3 balls of chaos.
That's what I was
once
looking for.
you get to the third chaos, it does 50% increased damage per stack and heals for 100% of the damage dealt. So even her dealing damage to Morgana is going to heal her a little bit.
A little bit. And I think that's kind of the biggest key here is it's not enough. In the realm of like a full MOBA match, it's not enough to it helps with her in that, but in a one-on-one, I don't know if it's enough to really compensate for the amount of damage she's probably going to be taking from Morgana.
Yeah.
Also, they're both mages. I guess this might come later. You can cut this later, but they're both mages, so they don't have an advantage over the other one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no
evenly matched.
It's pretty.
Yeah, you would buy the armor that would be anti-magical, and so they're just protecting against each other. So really, it's going to come down to burst. We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it. But I'm thinking out loud. My bad.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what we do here. So I mean, we've kind of just briefly touched on a few of her kind of opening powers and stuff like that. But she does have a few more, like her E abilities and stuff like that. So her chomp that sends out a massive, it looks like.
What did I call it? Sends out a dark mouth-like thing that chomps the enemy in front of her.
Yeah, that's the technical term for it.
In a MOBA sense too, she she's somewhat of a new character, right? So she's probably less fine-tuned, and the balance might not be right. So she might be weak or too strong.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they're not in the game as long, they're not as fine-tuned. So
from what I've seen, like a lot of people have been able to kind of get like her figured out, I guess, to a certain
but
extent.
you can do that if you're really smart with any character. You can.
This is true. Yeah, most of the videos and research I was doing were like expert players.
They're forcing it to be good. So for the clicks, right? Like, oh, look how good I am with this sucky character. Rather than, Morgana has been proven in League of Legends. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Another me on a tangent.
So one thing I want to add to Shadow Waltz, Jim, the tendril that you said that comes out and kind of slams on the ground. If she is, so a lot of Orphea's abilities are dependent upon successful hits.
Yes.
Whether she can land the hit or not.
Correct.
If she can land
they are directional.
If she can land the hit with Shadow Waltz, though, it'll reduce the cooldown. So that means that she can actually do it more often.
Yes, but here's the big disadvantage of that is a lot of her stuff does have a like a wind up, basically.
That is true.
So it doesn't immediately whip out. So like it takes a second for it to come out. So if she, if Morgana is able to recognize something like that, is able to stay out of the way enough, and it's constantly keeping Orphea from like hitting those hits, then it kind of negates all of that like added ability. But
so let me counter your point, though.
Counter
your counter. Because, I'm throwing the reverse down. She went toe-to-toe with Oberon, the Raven Lord, her dad.
Yeah.
Who is one of the oldest beings in the Nexus. Right? So, and the only reason I bring that up...
bring a lore battle into this. Like, that makes a lot more sense.
Which, if you're putting it that way, she's strategic enough to go against her dad and hold her own.
Yes.
She's going to be able to anticipate some of more.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like, it's a case of like, like sports term, like you're leading the hit, like, or like you're leading the catch or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? You're
like a sniper.
You're kind of, you're taking what's in front of you, you're calculating, you're seeing like, if I do this, that's going to push her this way. So I'm going to attack here. So it's all kind of in tandem, which I think Orphea is really good at doing is using her stuff, like I said earlier, in conjunction with one another. So if she misses with her chomp, it's going to push Morgana in a certain direction that she's then going to be able to hit with her tendril. And then that's where she's going to be able to start building her stuff.
So before we round out round one, I want to talk ultimates. So we have a couple of different ultimates.
She does have another, like a third ability that we didn't get, like an AOE type of deal too. But we'll talk a little bit more about that.
I'm sure I'll bring that up in the fight. Yeah.
Ultimates.
Ultimates. So she has Crushing Jaws, which is basically like two jaws on either side of the characters. And granted, we're only dealing with one character in this fight that she's going against, but she can actually pull them into a central location. And I think that really plays into what you're talking about with putting them in a spot to capitalize on all of her other abilities, right? Yeah. So she can just barrage them with all these abilities. And then it also stuns them. So they're incapacitated for 2 seconds or whatever, which is enough to like Ty was saying, to do that burst damage and to really get in there. Now, my question to you is, with a MOBA Meltdown match, are we going to have like multiple respawns? Like if she takes Morgana out, is Morgana respawn and come down the lane?
I think in this case, yes, because that's what you do in a MOBA, and we're looking at we have to. Wait, this is something we're.
They have to go back to base and get items. Like that's part. If you're doing a MOBA game, that's how you do it.
And that's something that we're gonna have to. When we get into round 3 here, we're gonna have to take into account is this kind of stuff where you're going back and forth in between your base, plus also having to deal with stuff like the tower, the fountain, and then the final. So it's like it's more than just a one-on-one fight here.
So the other ultimate ability is her Eternal Forest, which is basically she has like these dark snake things.
When you say Eternal Forest, what's the first thing come to mind? Because if it's a snake, then you're a MOBA expert.
Totally related, right?
Yeah.
No, it is an AoE damage kind of ability. It puts a circle on the ground. The snakes kind of jump out of the ground and slam down in like this circle area. So it is like a really devastating, like a nuke kind of, if you will. I don't know. We'll discuss ultimates and stuff during the fight, but that's just kind of touching on that.
I think a good kind of overarching start to who Orphea is in battle. is perfect here.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for round 1. Now you know Orphea and some of her abilities.
Just a little bit more.
A little bit, yeah. Maybe enough to make a decision, but maybe not. Maybe you'll have to wait till round 3 when we get into the fight. But you'll have to wait one more round because right now it's time for round 2. And that's going to lead us into, thank you. That's going to lead us into Morgana, who is, like Ty said, also a mage, which I didn't plan for. The more research I did, the more similarities I found for these. They're actually really, like the last fight with Sheik.
Yeah.
They're not mirror image of each other, but they do have a lot of the same attack styles and stuff, which is
just know going into this that this was kind of a tough a tough battle for us to like pick out, because we need to like do a shout out too because this is actually kind of a fan submitted fight, so they wanted to see Morgana in this, and so we were kind of trying to rack our brains for like who do we put up against a MOBA character like this, and we were just like going back and forth. So yeah, but it's interesting that we I think picked almost an identical from a different game series. Yeah,
I was like, I didn't want to pick a Blizzard character just because they're filled with lore, like you know, the Warcraft characters or the Diablo characters.
Yeah.
So I decided to settle on.
I wanted to do a World of Warcraft character because I think it would have been funny to do a LOL WoW.
Yeah. This was as close as I could get.
Just for the naming convention.
WoW lol.
Yeah. WoW lol.
So Morgana,
sound like every internet nerd out there,
what is Morgana, Ty?
Morgana seems like, I haven't played these, but Morgana seems like she's very similar. She also does like a root, but she has more crowd control, right? You said the other one's a teleport, so she's more a lane control character. She can root someone, then go and burst her stuff, so it's a little different. And she's more of a mid lane mage. So while one would be going through the jungle and bursting in while someone's already injured to get the kill, right? She's controlling a whole middle lane on her own, and she's built with AoEs and stuff, which will like just kill minions and level her up faster in the end.
Gotcha. Yeah, so just like Orphea, Morgana has abilities, you know, successful hits will heal her. So she has that kind of same mentality of like the more damage she does, the more sustainability she has. Again, maybe not to the degree of facing off against, you know, one character may not be as beneficial as, you know, a 5v5 or something. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of AoE, there's a lot of crowd control, there's a lot of rooting, there's a lot of keeping Orphea in place so she can either deal damage or, you know, go back to the shop like we talked about and do what she has to do and buy her enough time to get back and prevent her from destroying the stuff that she needs to win. So I think one thing that's going to be really beneficial for Morgana is going to be her black shield. Just because it you know,
it really is a game changer in a lot of ways for her. And I mean, her ability to be able to like use it on herself and everything, you know, a lot of times you see it using for like other heroes and stuff like that to kind of help with because she's kind of a support hero in League of Legends to an extent. But I think this is going to make a huge difference because the ability to be able to negate damage or a hit is going to be a little bit more of an upper hand for Morgana than say Orphea's like minor healing that she has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone that plays MOBAs knows that crowd control is key. Your guardians or mages that can do that or can handle it. Some of their fans that might know MOBA, she sounds very similar to Scylla in Smite, which is what I play. She throws one that's roots, and then you throw the AoE at them, and boom, you hit them with both, right? And you get to keep your distance, which will really help against an assassin.
So I missed throwing this out for Orphea, so I'm gonna bring it up now. But Ty, you're making a really good point. I think the term that I feel comfortable using would be glass cannon, and I was going to say Jim likes to use that term a decent amount. You know, I've heard you say it a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, we play a lot of computer games and stuff. And I think that, especially for Morgana, she's going to be a glass cannon. You know, she's going to need to keep her distance, like Ty said. I think if
I think more so than Orphea.
Yeah,
Just because of her, like, she.
I think Orphea is going to be built to, in gameplay, Orphea is the one that's going to be down here. If she can land that, I didn't want to get into fights yet, but if she lands that root, she's gone. Like, that's the end of her. Like, this root explosion.
This is
done.
true. Yeah, you're right. They're definitely both in the glass cannon nature. But I think like
I will save my comments for round 3.
I think the black shield here, we kind of circling back, like kind of takes Morgana a little bit away from that glass cannon type of deal, because she has like a form of protection that's really helpful for her in dealing with some of these hits that she may not be able to dodge.
So I know in the notes I put that it neglects
Negates.
What did I say?
Neglects.
Close. Any immobilizing effects, but it also just absorbs magic damage.
Yeah.
And so what is Orphea throwing out?
Magic,
right? So I think she has a huge advantage of that. However, the cooldown is about 30 seconds, roughly, about 20
So she
seconds.
can't use it all the time. So it's not like it's going to be, but it may be one of those like extremely crucial, like where it comes in at the right time and really can turn the tide in Morgana's favor, I think. But I think we are ignoring the fact that Morgana also has a self-heal ability in the same way that Orphea does, where she has a soul siphon.
At the beginning.
Did you about the soul siphon and like her like?
Well, I
hits?
didn't name it, but
I brought where it's like hits. If she successfully lands these hits, it will heal her for a small amount. So again, talking about like how this minor heal isn't going to be enough to counteract the damage that I feel like is going to be received immediately, but that in conjunction with the shield. So not only is she shielding from attacks, but she's also continuously self-healing if she's able to land these hits. That's going to be massive. And all of this in between some pretty big hits that she can deal on top of binding and stopping her enemy.
Not only that, but she also, one thing that I saw that differed from Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends is she actually just has a flat out heal ability. She can heal herself for a decent amount.
Yeah.
But again, it has a 4-minute cooldown.
So it's not as...
So it's kind of like a last, like, I'm taking my final hit. I need to hit this real quick. I need to pop this.
Yep. But again, like in this, I feel like in the scope of this fight, if it's enough, it can be sometimes enough to just turn the tide of the fight. And if it's that one thing where it's like, yes, it has a 4-minute cooldown, but it like has the ability to turn the tide of the fight if she can deal one more hit, or when it comes down to the last hit, who gets it? Morgana heals, gets one more hit, Orphea's down, and then Morgana has a chance to go for a tower, or has a chance to finish off a fountain, or something like that.
She also has an ability called Ghost, which allows her to pass through units. Which I looked up the term for units. Units are turrets, heroes, minions, basically anything.
I don't think that's going to be as big here because it's...
I don't think so either, but the movement speed...
The mid-mage would be better at that, though. That's how you level up, though. And she's built to level while the other one's built to kill. This is going to be very interesting.
But like Josh like brings up a good point where it's like it's less about the passing through units and more about the movement speed here. Whereas if she can get somewhere faster, so if she takes out Orphea,
well, even if she dies, right, she can ghost and get back to where she needs to be.
I'm thinking offensively. I'm thinking if she takes out Orphea,
pessimist.
Defensively. No, just kidding. If she takes out Orphea and is able to pop that ability, get that faster movement speed, then it cuts down the time, that she needs to. Basically, she has more time to be able to attack a tower.
Yeah. By
the time Orphea gets back, and then they have to go back into this one-on-one to see who's going to kill, because it's like there is going to be a lot of death between these two in the game. I think I don't think that's we can.
It's inevitable. That. Yeah, it is. Before we finish up with round 2, we got to touch on ultimates. Morgana has her own ultimate.
Soul shackles. That's hard.
Soul shackles.
Soul shackle. You did it too.
This is the game changer. This is the game changer for me. Is this ultimate?
So soul shackles.
Soul shackle
is she can chain herself to Orphea, and so if Orphea cannot escape these shackles, so let me back up. She can change herself to Orphea, and it damages Orphea over time and slows her down. If Orphea cannot escape, get far enough away from Morgana, it will explode and deal more damage. And then not only that,
and it's stunned. So
it stuns her
like in 3 seconds. So.
And it gives Morgana a speed boost. So that means that she can cut that distance. So it's going to be really hard for Orphea to get away.
Yeah.
I would say almost impossible.
Yeah.
And Orphea has to get in her face.
Yeah.
And
she has to be able to land these attacks because.
Well, I do that all the time in my games. Like I get into a panic. Yeah. Okay.
We'll talk more about it.
This is a whole other round.
I think this is going to be an incredible round 3 for this one. I think we have a lot to say.
Yeah. So let's not waste any more time since we're all riled up here. Let's get right into the fight. This is round 3. So let me start by going over some basic things that we're going to see in the MOBA match. Obviously, we've talked about death. You're talking about Morgana moving fast to get to the turrets.
Or like just the towers.
The towers.
The towers, yeah.
The hero cannot go up to the tower by themselves. They will be obliterated. They have to wait for their minions.
Yeah.
Early game.
And remember, this is I guess this is
so depending on where we're talking about, right? Like so it's not going to be Morgana or Orphea charging at the tower right off the bat, right? There's going to need to be some.
I did forget about that part. Yeah.
Some hand to hand, and there really needs to be some minion control, kind of, because you have to get your minions to those towers.
I feel like both of these are good at. They're good at like.
No, I disagree.
I think with the AOE's, the minions aren't going to stand a chance.
Morgana has what Orphea has to do because hers is a root and teleport, which is what assassins do, so they can get into a lane and kill that person quick, right? And they burst everything. But it's so early, she can't do that, and so she can keep her range. Morgana can keep her range the whole time, hit all those minions with AoEs, and keep rooting her with her other one, and then blowing them all up again. I think Orphea is going to have a hard time getting in with that teleport, especially early game, because those minions, the moment if she even does kill her, she's behind the line, and the minions will kill her because she can't kill the minions quick enough. If she tries to go kill the minions, she's in the range of Morgana, and she can just blow her up again.
Yeah, but don't forget that
that's going to cause slow and heal.
Own AOE and stuff as well too. So it's not like all of her attacks are not just single target attacks. She does have she is designed kind of also to be a little bit of a to help with the lane clearing and stuff like that. Not to the same extent that Morgana is, but she is kind of that. She bounces between the lanes to help keep the lanes clear and to be able to help kind of push less more to clear to push than it is to just clear for the for the heroes and stuff.
I will say that 2 of her abilities are labeled as area of effect.
Who's that?
Orphea.
Okay, yeah.
So they may
how big?
They may not be lasting area effects like Morgana. Like she sets the ground on fire or whatever. The Shadow Waltz is a line. The end of the tendril does do more damage than the actual thing, I believe. And then the it says it deals 165. So it does damage to everything in a line, and then it slams at the end.
Yes.
And then the chomp is actually in a radial.
Yes.
Like a quarter circle or whatever.
So Orphea is not necessarily designed just to go after a singular target. Mm-hmm. That's kind of her. She has I think in this case, a really good ability to not only jump between lanes, but to help clear minions, but also be able to deal high targeted damage attacks to other heroes and stuff like that.
I think you brought up a really, really good point earlier, Ty, when you talked about I believe you talked about Orphea kind of like bouncing around the lane and bouncing around the map. So her Shadow Waltz, not only the tendril move, if she lands a successful hit, it gives her a dash.
That's kind of what I was saying
and
earlier.
So she's able
it's
to
the hunt down. Yeah, it's the hunt down other lanes. So if she was coming through the jungle, say you're over here soloing somebody, and you got them pretty low, she gets in and sneaks in. She throws that out, which will bring them right to her.
Yeah.
Right. She has the dash, and she can go right to them and burst everything else.
But you have to, because from what I was saying, it was kind of enough to like be able to keep her going back and forth. But now this was like in the case of like when there was like multiple heroes that were also there, so she wasn't the main target. But she lands that tendril attack. It cuts down the cooldown time of that tendril. But in a successful hit, not only does it reduce that cooldown, but it jumps her. She jumps
dashes
over
to the side,
dashes to the side, casts it again, dashes to the side, casts it again, and she's able to keep Morgana kind of where she wants her. And remember, we talked about going back into the lore and less into the gameplay. She is very tactful. She's very smart when it comes to combat. So
and I think her chomp would be able to handle the minions
correct.
To a degree.
And the AoE that she has.
That is the AoE.
She has the dread attack, which sends out the wave of dark.
She has a crowd control AoE.
Correct. Yes. So it's a wave of dark magic that damages anything in its path. When it reaches the end of its path, it explodes into an AoE, which is like a little puddle on the ground
the one I was thinking of.
slows enemies and deals damage in that spot. So she's got the AoE, so she is able to keep.
So she throws the slow, then she'll teleport to him, and then she does the other one. So that's just a slow though. That's not a lot of damage. She'll get in there, but.
Yeah, but
couldn't Morgana just throw her ability right at her feet though and just blow her up?
She could, yeah. I mean, but you talk like she throws it at her feet, she throws out the tendril and dashes out of that AoE.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Is like and I was kind of talking about earlier how Orphea has a really good ability to be able to use a lot of her stuff in conjunction with each other. So she's able to keep getting that tendril hit. It reduces the cooldowns for her attacks and stuff like that. So she's using her chomp more. She's using her tendril. She's using her Shadow Waltz more. She's jumping around and stuff like that. So I think we're downplaying a little bit of Orphea's ability here.
On the other side of the coin, though, I got to reiterate the black shields.
Yes, that's going to be big here.
All of the things that we're saying that Orphea is throwing at Morgana, she can absorb with the black shield. Granted, it
has crowd control. Yeah, but it's crowd control immunity. So the moment she bursts her abilities, right, it's going to cause a slow, but then Morgana will just use that and get out of it. And now that what's her name, Orphea is right on her, she'll just throw the ultimate down and blow everybody up. She's so close, and she used her dash to get in on her. There's no getting out. This stuff has cooldowns. Like you can't just keep spamming. So she kind of puts herself in a pretty compromising position, I feel like. So like you're saying though that the quickness is gonna get her through it, and that was that overflowing chaos. That's her sustain trait. She can hold lane
what is that,
longer.
Like her passive kind of.
Yeah, she can hold lane longer. So she was building up those chaos balls, which means she can heal if there's anything done. While Morgana has to retreat, right? So that would give her lane control for at least 2 lanes. And that makes all the difference in these kind of games where that line is, right? And if she gets 2 lanes forward, that's pretty.
Remember here too, we're also keeping everything cut down because this is a one-on-one type of deal. Right? So it's only a single lane. Right. So if you have the ability to do 2 lanes, then what's going to be your ability with like just a singular lane? But
so what they call I'm using terminology. Sorry, it's a terminology. I'm not saying multiple lanes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's a lane. It's like they call it a lane of minions.
I was
right?
kind of agreeing with you a little bit, where it's like her ability to control 2 lanes is big, and then you're boring it down to 1 lane. Like that's a lot for be able to just into 1 lane. But I see what you're saying.
And so it's lane control. So you get bursts of minions. And since she doesn't need to retreat because she can self-heal with every hit she lands, right? She can just kind of hang out for a bit and that'll give her the control of the lane, which she can push forward like 2 times. If she push that forward 2 times, she's right on the first tower.
Yeah.
And with the minions, if Morgana has to retreat, she has the plenty of room to just come in there and take it out. And now Morgana's already back on her back heels that way.
So let me ask a question. When do you think how do you think they're going to be able to like get back to the start? Like, like teleport back to the start to buy more upgrades or do whatever they have to do.
I would imagine in a scenario like this is going to be when they die. When one
when
of them
you
dies.
die, or when one of them dies, you would push your lane forward 1 and then retreat. Because they have to wait to come back, so you have time to kill the lane minions.
And I think in
go
this
back,
case, because
buy stuff, come forward.
Even in a one-on-one?
I think that's what I'm saying. Because it's a one-on-one, I think there's going to be a lot of death. Like, they're both going to be dying a lot in this case. Giving them that opportunity, because typically in these ones, like, you get an opportunity to go back. Like, if you're low on health, you have a chance to retreat because you have other heroes that are able to kind of keep pushing and keep doing what they need to. You have a chance to go back, heal, giving you an opportunity to power up and to get an upgrade and then go back out before dying, possible.
You bring up a great point, Jim. So if I'm thinking of a 1v1 MOBA game, there's probably 7 lane pushes. So we're talking only like 7 kills at most. So who can kill who 7 times?
Faster.
Yeah. It's like the like an Iron Man match.
Pretty
but
much,
in MOBA form. Yeah, which is interesting. But let's not forget about the cooldown times of some of these, which is why I think it's going to be back and forth. So it's like, not only do you have the cooldown times, but you also have Morgana's ability to stun and to hold and hold their opponents and stuff like that. So, kind of just to bring this back.
I got one last question. Who do you think is going to get their ultimate first?
Who has a smaller cooldown? Well, as a mage, I would buy cooldown reduction first.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But Orphea has the ability
noted.
to increase her cooldown rate with successful attacks.
That's so she can burst, though.
Yeah.
She's not
going
to
start help. Is that going to help with her ultimate cooldown?
See, if I was playing Mage Assassin, I would do a lot.
Most of the games
See, Mage Assassin, especially if I'm playing a mage, I would do magical penetration to cut through her armor.
Yeah.
While if I was Morgana, I would do cooldown to control the lane and hit faster.
So just out of curiosity, though, like, does successful attacks help with ultimate? Like, help build your ultimate?
That shouldn't charge your ultimate. Ultimates are like set by cooldown.
Okay, cool. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so because I'm used to stuff like Overwatch, where it's like every successful hit and kill helps build your ultimate, therefore allowing you to unleash it. But in this case, if it's
unless otherwise said, I would think it doesn't charge. Usually, ultimates are a separate thing. You get your 4 abilities.
I was like, I think in League of Legends it's level 10.
That's a little bit out of my MOBA purview. So
it might be level 10 for both of them, but it's like you reach a certain level, and then it unlocks your ultimate. You're able to buy your ultimate ability, right? So
gotcha. Okay.
So with that being said, I know it's kind of a hard question, but who do you guys see getting their ultimate first?
From what
Morgana.
I know, Orphea.
Yeah,
I think from what I know, just from what I know.
Okay.
I say Morgana because she would get cooldown reduction first. And so that counts towards your ultimate. Yeah. So she just took 20 seconds off every ultimate.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm thinking Orphea and her ability to reduce cooldowns, meaning using her attacks more often, her W, her Q, her E abilities more often, getting her that extra XP a lot quicker, being able to buy the stuff that she needs to quicker to be able to get that cooldown or that ultimate.
What do you think, Josh?
I don't know what I think.
You son of a bitch.
I'm leaning Morgana. I'm leaning Morgana just because I feel like she can deal more damage over time, which is gonna allow her to move around a little bit. But I will elaborate here in Final Judgment whenever we make our decisions, and that's happening right now. So I guess I'll go first since I'm blabbering. I think so. There's a couple things that play into this. I think that I think that Morgana's all about like damage over time instead of bursting necessarily. I know you said burst damage. I think that Orphea is more like straight up, like you said, in a line, tendril, throw the things out, damage everything. I think Morgana's more like set and forget. Like she just like puts a circle on the ground that damages things, and then she moves on to bigger and better things, right? So with that being said, I think that if Morgana is able to get her ultimate first, she's going to be able to capitalize, because Orphea is not going to be able to escape from those chains, and it's going to put her down. So if Morgana is able to consistently get her ultimate faster than Orphea, I think it's going to be hands down Morgana, and that's what I'm sticking with. So Jim.
Yeah, I think the name of the game here is going to be time, because as time goes on, Orphea gets a lot stronger exponentially as she levels up more and gains more abilities, is able to purchase more abilities, and is able to use her powers all in conjunction with each other. So early game, Morgana is going to take the lead on it, but I think as attacks are happening, minions are destroyed, towers are defeated, things like that, and as Orphea starts to get stronger, I think she's gonna just kind of overwhelm Morgana, and Morgana's not gonna be able to respond as much. So for me, I'm thinking Orphea would probably end up taking this one just because of the late game.
Yo, you know what that means?
We have a tiebreaker.
Oh, what a throwback!
This was completely unplanned.
Not to put you in a rough spot, Ty, but
well, so I've been going back and forth on this because they're both in their prime, right? So we're assuming it's a pro player, essentially, right?
Yeah,
it's definitely not me playing these characters.
Yeah. Having to sit there and read what everything does and try to remember what I bought already. Yeah.
Oh, good.
An alt, especially early game, will not kill Orphea. So she could theoretically get in there, burst all of their stuff, and kill them, because she's designed to kill gods. Oh, sorry, and smite its gods, right? But she's designed to kill.
I knew what you meant. Heroes, gods.
Yeah, she's meant to kill opponents with burst. And so even with the ultimate to try to save without an escape, they call it. A lot of characters have escapes, right? Like a way to get away if you're a mage, a glass cannon like that. But it sounds like she doesn't have an escape, right? Everything is just keep them at bay. So if Orphea got in there, there's nothing to get her save her besides her ultimate, which needs to recharge again, which won't recharge in time for Orphea's burst of abilities again. So I know I sounded like I was pro Morgana, but actually in the end, in the hands of a capable player, I say Orphea would probably win this because she's designed to take the 1v1s.
As I was listening, you say that I was watching Josh cartoon style tie a white sheet to a stick to start waving the white flag on the hill.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm stoked, man.
I think that might be the third. Wait, last episode I was on the team with
You've been most consistently like dying on the hill by yourself. Yep.
Yeah, I'm holding it down.
It is a close one. I think you two picked a really good matchup because I've seen mid mages get out of situations like this. Like they have to be ready for an assassin, but if she doesn't have an escape, there's nothing to save her.
Yeah.
That the moment she gets in, all she has is one ultimate every 40 seconds at best. That's not enough.
Yeah. Yep. So the name of the game is cooldowns, huh? Time.
In MOBAs, that's what it's about.
Yeah, being able to get more attacks off quicker is
more attacks off with high penetration, which is what if Orphea would buy a magical penetration item first. Like I know I said cooldown for the other one, but if I was an assassin, I'd be like, no, I got to get through that. I got to hit him hard.
Yeah.
And she knows she can only burst it, so you would have to wait anyway. So there's no reason to buy cooldown. So your meta is designed to burst and kill.
Yeah, because her attacks,
without cooldown,
her attacks fix that cooldown purchase problem. Where it's like if you're not able to purchase cooldowns, and your attacks already do that. So yeah. Anyways, there's a lot to go into on these two characters. This is insane, guys.
Good pick,
this
guys.
was cool.
Good pick.
Well, from over here on the hill. We're going to go ahead and round out the show for tonight, but we do want to hear what you have to say. So go ahead and head over to social media, where you'll find us at Character Fight on all social media platforms, and the Character Fight Night fan stand group, where you can start your own discussion and argue with people as to who would win, including us. I'll be there defending Morgana for no reason other than my own
it's all
pride.
arbitrary.
Other than my own pride. Ty, I want to thank you for stepping up and joining us tonight.
Yeah, that was incredible,
Thank you.
man. I was super glad to have you in your MOBA insight here. I think that really changed the episode for us entirely.
I was hoping that it wasn't like too video game nerd for you guys.
No,
like,
not
well,
at all.
actually, with the
I was like listening to go off on everything. I was like, those who know.
I legit like learn stuff from
I
you
know.
today.
See, I've always had a pretty good understanding of like how MOBAs function and their overarching, because I've played a few MOBAs here and there, but like,
but not in this way.
I've never been. Well, I mean, like, so, but it was nice because it gave me a ground level for understing what he was saying. Because if I had never done it, I would have been like,
that's fair.
I don't know any of these words.
It's Overwatch, but with more like lane control, like more tactical. That's less first person shooter, more tactical, but it's the same.
Yeah. If you like Character Fight Night and you like us and you like Ty,
And you're in the Colorado area,
we will be at Anime Onsen panel Friday, June 16th at 9:45 p.m. We got a late tournament for the episode of CFN Tournaments.
Which also, on that note, go check out our sister podcast or our
CFN
sister
Tournaments
CFN
on this
Tournaments
channel.
on this same channel. Yeah.
Hey.
Kind of
Ty,
a
what
sub,
is the theme for the panel?
Well, since it's Anime Onsen, it's anime.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Big
if it was.
surprise.
We do have. All right. No, so there is 2 old school animes and 2 new school animes.
Okay.
So that's kind of like old versus new.
Very cool.
Is
Very
what
cool.
we're doing.
So
So
if you aren't able to make that, you are able to catch that here on the channel. We'll be posting the episode, so you can listen to it. So that's going to do it for us here tonight at the CFN Arena. For Jim, Ty, John, and myself, of course, this has been CFN Recharged. We'll see you on the next one. And remember, let your characters do the fighting for you. See ya.
Want more fights? Follow us on social media, Instagram, and Twitter at Character Fight and Character Fight Night on Facebook. Use hashtag #FollowTheFight on all social media platforms. Want more action? Join the Character Fight Night Fan Stand Facebook group, where we post polls and have discussions on all fights.